When I win, the winged victory came to the Louvre in pieces, and people still line up to see her. And I can only hope that despite my flaws, and despite my cracks and my breaks, and there are many of them, that at every premiere and everything I do, people will wait in line to see.
And if you disagree with this sentiment, just hit the unfollow button. I don't need your...
The internet erupted when news broke that an OnlyFans account impersonating Rachel Zegler had gone viral, gaining over 5,000 subscribers almost overnight. What made the situation even more unsettling was that the content was entirely AI-generated, and disturbingly realistic. It was quickly confirmed that Rachel had nothing to do with it, but the timing couldn't have been worse. Already facing widespread backlash over her Snow White press tour and the film's disastrous box office performance, this digital scandal only amplified the criticism. In the eyes of many, Rachel Zegler's public image has plummeted, transforming her from a rising star into an internet punchline.
Like, oh wow, Snow White flopped. Who is surprised? You cast arguably the least genuine, most out of touch and disliked person in her industry, and her industry is Hollywood. And the bad guy is Gal Gadot.
The backlash can largely be traced back to Rachel's own comments. During the Snow White press tour, her interviews sparked outrage, particularly one now viral clip in which she casually dismissed the 1937 original as weird, criticizing it as outdated and flawed for focusing on romance.
You told me before that your version of Snow White is different, and it's more of a 2022 version of Snow White. What did you mean by that?
I mean, you know, the original cartoon came out in 1937, and very evidently so. There's a big focus on her love story with a guy who literally stalks her.
Yeah.
Weird.
Super weird.
So we didn't do that this time.
Her tone didn't land well. She wasn't offering thoughtful critique. She was laughing at a film cherished by generations.
Excuse me. Your curtain. Please allow me to help.
Help? From you?
I didn't mean to offend. I just thought you should know that
That I should know what? That some privileged white guy thinks his opinion matters? Get over your entitlement. I'm not some damsel in distress waiting for you to ride in on your high horse.
Her tone struck the wrong chord. Rather than offering a thoughtful critique, she came across as mocking a film beloved by generations, laughing at something many hold dear.
I'm a narcissist. Okay. And then it became like, I will elbow everyone out of the way to play the part. That people will assume is a love story just because, like, we cast a guy in the movie, right. Andrew Burnap. All of Andrew's scenes could get cut. Who knows? It's Hollywood, baby.
I say, if I'm gonna stand there 18 hours in a dress of an iconic Disney princess, I deserve to be paid for every hour that it is streamed online.
And we absolutely wrote a Snow White that is
not gonna be saved by the prince.
She's not gonna be saved by the prince, and she's not going to be dreaming about true love. She's dreaming about becoming the leader she knows she can be.
She framed the remake as a kind of personal correction to the story, emphasizing that her version would be feminist, non-romantic, and, in her words, far superior to the original.
Rachel Zegler is extraordinarily woke, but she's woke in a way that's quite deranged. I truly do believe that. There's something wrong with her. She's disturbed, she's unhappy, and she thinks it's about feminism and the patriarchy and about abortion, but the reality is she's just not stable, like the majority of people in Hollywood. They're just not stable human beings. I would highly advise that you boycott this film, no matter how much your children love Snow White.
To longtime Disney fans, Rachel's comments came across as arrogant, and to casual moviegoers, they seemed unnecessary. Why remake a film you don't even appear to respect? As those sound bites resurfaced, frustration grew. Many felt she was dismissing not just the 1937 classic, but the legacy of one of Disney's most iconic characters. Snow White carries a certain reverence, and audiences expect that to be honored. Instead, Rachel's remarks gave the impression that she was less interested in celebrating the story's history and more focused on reshaping it entirely, leaving many fans feeling alienated.
There was an in-depth piece, like a behind-the-scenes piece, talking about how they've been in a full meltdown about this girl for a couple of years now, and how they had her tweet out like a little, "Yay, Snow White, can't wait, so excited, I love to play her." And she did it and got like millions of views, and they were like, "Good job, Rachel." And then she, like, minutes later, followed it up with, "And never forget, free Palestine." They flew an executive, one of the producers, out to go visit personally with Rachel Zegler to say, could you please take that down? Because we understand you can have your political views, but those aren't really helpful while you're trying to build an audience for a movie. Maybe you could save them for like your diary and your friends, but like maybe not, maybe just take the tweet down. And she wouldn't. And then they had to hire a special media consultant for her to follow her around all the time and make sure she didn't continue shitting on Snow White and the prince and young love and women who want to get married and Steven Spielberg, the executive producer of her previous movie, and white people who she claims wanted to know if she was really a Latina on her first movie.
Her approach came across as smug, detached, and full of disdain for what came before her. And the internet doesn't forget. As box office numbers sank lower and lower, those comments resurfaced again and again, haunting her like receipts at every turn.
No one on the right side of America can stand the star of this movie.
She just sounds bitter and angry.
But you don't seemingly like your own character, so she comes off as an insufferable, whiny brat.
It wasn't just what Rachel said, it was how she said it. Her press appearances were filled with quips that felt less like playful jokes and more like sharp jabs. She brushed off critics, laughed at traditional storylines, and steered conversations toward politics when people just wanted to talk about movies. There's a fine line between confidence and condescension, and to many, she crossed it. The result was a public persona that felt more performative than relatable, more smug than empowered. What should have been a celebration of her breakout moment instead became a cautionary tale in how to alienate an audience.
I never want it to come off as me being ungrateful for the opportunities I have. I can also be having the greatest time and simultaneously wishing people would stop sending me.
ChatGPT said. To be clear, Rachel isn't the first actor to share bold opinions or challenge tradition. But she did so in a way that seemed to disregard the deep emotional connection fans have to the stories she was retelling. Instead of presenting herself as the next generation's Disney princess, she came across as someone eager to burn the old blueprint entirely, without offering a compelling new one in its place. Her rhetoric didn't inspire. It undermined. And rather than being hailed as a trailblazer, she became a target. The OnlyFans impersonation, though obviously fraudulent, was just the latest straw, a bizarre digital echo of a larger truth. The public no longer buys what she's selling. Now, as Rachel works to salvage her career, the internet seems to be moving on without her. In an industry where perception is everything, she's learning the hard way that being the main character doesn't always mean applause. Sometimes it means silence or worse, laughter. Gal Gadot and Rachel Zegler were meant to share top billing in what was supposed to be Disney's next major live-action success story. But as the press tour dragged on and the film's release drew closer, it became increasingly clear that something was very wrong.
Please welcome Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot.
Visual effects push the boundaries of what we see on screen.
Their work makes the impossible seem possible.
With breathtaking ambition, they create magic that wraps its arms around our wildest imaginations.
Here are the nominees for Best Visual Effects.
Whispers of behind-the-scenes tension had circulated for months, but it was the Oscars that finally made everything clear. When the cameras cut to Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot, the energy was icy. Stiff smiles, awkward body language, and a palpable distance between them. Gal posed for photos alone, barely acknowledged Rachel in interviews, and skipped joint appearances whenever possible. Insiders close to the Wonder Woman star suggest that Gal is deliberately distancing herself from the controversy surrounding Rachel, doing everything she can to avoid getting pulled into the backlash. It was a quiet move, but in Hollywood, silence often says the most. Snow White's box office performance only underscored the problem. Opening to a meager $45 million domestically, it was immediately labeled a flop. The comparison to The Little Mermaid's $95 million debut, despite that film's own controversies, made Snow White's collapse even starker. Social media tracked ticket sales in real time, and the movie's dismal 1.6 IMDb rating became a rallying cry. Critics called the film joyless, unfocused, and tone-deaf. For many fans, the blame didn't rest with the studio or even the script. It fell squarely on Rachel's shoulders. Taking on Snow White means stepping into sacred territory. Disney princesses aren't just characters. They're cultural symbols, tied to childhood nostalgia and generational memory. But Rachel's version felt less like a tribute and more like a rejection. The remake removed the romance, redefined key plot points, and even cut the iconic dwarfs. Parents who grew up with the original were left wondering how to explain the changes to their children. To them, this wasn't a modernization, it was a mockery. Rachel's interviews, in which she called the original weird and outdated, only confirmed their suspicions. Across forums and comment sections, parents voiced their frustration. "This isn't the Snow White we wanted," became a common refrain. Some admitted they cancelled tickets after watching Rachel's interviews, worried the movie would feel more like a lecture than a fairy tale. It wasn't just the film they no longer trusted, it was the actress selling it to them. Rachel had positioned herself as the voice of a new generation, but in doing so, she alienated the very families who have kept Disney magic alive for decades. And now, the ripple effects are hitting her future. Reports suggest that roles she had been attached to are being quietly reevaluated. Some producers are concerned about her divisive public persona, while others worry she may no longer be a bankable star. This is more than just a box office failure. It's a perception crisis. After West Side Story, Rachel was hailed as Hollywood's next big thing, a fresh face with an Oscar-worthy voice. But in less than a year, that narrative has flipped. Instead of rising, she's stalled. And some insiders question whether she can recover. Plenty of actors survive a flop, but Rachel's situation feels different because so much of the damage is self-inflicted. Audiences aren't just disinterested in her films, they're actively rooting against them. That's not just a stumble. It's a rupture of trust. And in an industry built on perception, that may be her biggest obstacle yet. With no allies publicly defending her, no clear sign of a pivot, and the sting of a Disney flop still fresh, her career now sits in a precarious place. Rachel Zegler was once touted as the future of musical cinema and the face of a new Disney era. Now she's become the subject of internet jokes, viral deepfakes, and awkward red carpet clips no one wants to rewatch. Hollywood loves a comeback story, but right now Rachel is learning just how quickly it can turn its back.